Hello everybody. In this opportunity we're going to talk about the intermediate course, APPI course. We're going to talk about the sixth subject of the logbook, about analysis. I will explain you how much energy we have to put in our takeoff. As a second subject, the places that are safe to fly. And finally, how to do the final approach.
Today, we're diving into one of the most vital skills in paragliding. It's something that goes way beyond your gear and gets right into the pilot's mind. We're talking about analysis. So let's just jump right in. Have you ever really stopped to wonder what the best pilots have in common? I'll give you a hint. It's not the most expensive glider or the flashiest harness. Nope. It's something much, much deeper. It's a mental skill, and it's what defines both their safety and their elegance in the air. And that skill is analysis. It's all about actively observing what's around you, correctly interpreting all that information, and then, this is the most important part, making sound decisions based on it. This is the real foundation for safety and performance on every single flight. To really get a handle on this, let's follow the timeline of a typical flight. We'll start with the takeoff, and using just the right amount of energy. Then, we'll cover how to navigate safely once you're airborne. After that, we'll tackle the critical landing phase. And to wrap it all up, we'll look at the pilot's mindset. Let's get started. Let's begin at, well, the beginning, the takeoff. A successful flight starts long before your feet ever leave the ground. It all hinges on a controlled, well-judged inflation. Let's talk about a key concept here, measured energy. This isn't about brute force. Launching a paraglider is actually more like a dance. It's about having the sensitivity to give the wing exactly what it needs, no more, no less, so it comes up stable and stays under your control from the very first moment. And that energy, it completely changes with the conditions. With light winds, you are the engine. You've got to run and give that wing momentum. But in strong winds, it's a whole different story. The challenge becomes about braking, controlling, and using finesse to keep the wing from shooting up and over you. Two scenarios, two totally different techniques, and both require you to analyze first. Before you even think about pulling on those risers, a conscious pilot is running this checklist. Is the wind coming straight on? Is it too strong, or is it gusty? If there are thermals, am I launching at the right point in the cycle? Do I have enough room to abort if things go wrong? And is my wing laid out perfectly? Answering these questions, that's your first big active analysis. Okay, so we've launched successfully. Now let's see how this analysis has to continue once we're in the air, where all our decisions are suddenly being made in 3 dimensions. You know, a safe flying spot isn't just any old hill with wind. Take a look at this list. Your analysis has to cover all of it, from a clear launch and a visible LZ to understanding the day's weather and knowing the local rules of the air. It's not just about flying, it's about flying in the right place at the right time. But there are dangers out there that you can't see with the naked eye. Especially in the mountains, there's an invisible threat that every single pilot has to learn how to identify and respect. And that danger is rotor. The best way to think about it is like a chaotic, churning whirlpool of air. It forms on the downwind or leeward side of any big obstacle, a hill, a building, a stand of trees. That area behind the obstacle can be a zone of extreme, and I mean extremely dangerous turbulence. So the crucial takeaway here is basically a golden rule. Never, and I mean never, fly on the leeward side directly behind a large obstacle. Identifying where that rotor is likely to be and simply deciding not to go there, that is one of the most important analytical decisions you will ever make in the air. Now for the final, and often most critical phase of the flight, the landing. So many incidents happen here, and it's not because of bad luck. It's because of a chain of decisions or a lack of planning that started long before the pilot got near the ground. So let's define what we mean by the final phase. We're talking about those last 30 to 100 feet before you touch down. In this critical window, there are 3 non-negotiable conditions. Your wing must be aligned into the wind, it must be level, and it must be carrying enough speed for a proper flare. And this brings us to another golden rule. That last turn to line up for landing has to be completed before you enter that final phase. Turning low to the ground is, without a doubt, one of the riskiest maneuvers in all of paragliding. So, how do we get it right? Well, you can break it down into these 5 steps. It's a mental process. First, you identify your landing spot early on. Second, you visualize your entire approach pattern, just like an airliner. Third, you decide on your final turn well in advance. Fourth, you make smooth, gentle corrections to your altitude. And fifth, you get your mind and body ready for that flare. It's a plan, not an improvisation. And what if your plan isn't going perfectly? Well, analysis gives you the answer. If you find you're coming in too high, you make wide, gentle S-turns to lose that extra altitude safely. If you're too low, the decision is just as clear, and it's a brave one. You maintain a direct course. A safe landing a little off target is 1,000 times better than a risky, forced turn. We've reached the end, and this is where everything really comes together. Because after talking about the takeoff, the flight, and the landing, you start to realize that your most important tools aren't the ones you carry in your harness. It all comes down to 3 things. 3 pillars that support every single conscious decision you make in the air. And here they are. Observation, actually seeing what's really happening. Interpretation, understanding what all that information means. And decision, acting on it. This, right here, is the heart and soul of analysis. And these 3 pillars, they draw the line between a scary, avoidable incident and a safe, enjoyable, memorable flight. This is the skill that lets you keep coming back to fly day after day. So, the next time you're standing on launch, I want to leave you with this question to ask yourself. On this flight, what is the one decision, the one small act of analysis that is going to make all the difference? Thanks for joining us.